It's not really a secret that the video games industry is in the middle of a big upheaval. Indie games, and games made by small AA studios, seem to be doing better than the AAA games at every turn. I mean, this year alone we've got Palworld and Shrouded, heck, even Helldivers 2 is technically considered an indie game. But on the flip side of that coin are the games that are not doing so well. And surprise, surprise, these are the AAA slop type games that are heavy on the price tag and then ask you to spend even more in the game through microtransactions and battle passes. I consider the worst of these to come out this year so far to be the new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. And its failure has not only been spectacular, but has the industry sweating, with the CFO of Warner Bros. Discovery now commenting on it. So today, let's talk about that. The Suicide Squad game was one that a lot of people were actually excited for. After all, it came from Rocksteady Studios, who've made some of the best superhero games in the genre, the Batman Arkham games, Asylum, City and Night. Now of course, none of those games were designed to be the same type of live service game that Suicide Squad was, but you'd think their reputation alone might help them overcome people's disdain for live service games. Unfortunately for Rocksteady, it didn't. Live service games are a type of game that studios make thinking they can keep them afloat for years, just adding new content over time in the form of DLCs, microtransactions, or battle passes. They're usually a big upfront cost to the studio in time and money to get started, but a successful live service game can go on for years with relatively little effort compared to making a whole new game. That's what Rocksteady wanted. Too bad for them that gamers overwhelmingly hate those kind of money grab games. And you can see it in the player count. At the time of recording, there were 460 players playing the game. 946 people had played it in the last 24 hours, and the all-time peak player count is sitting at 13,459 according to SteamDB, which is absolutely abysmal. Like, to put that in perspective, at the time I'm recording this, the original Slime Rancher game, a now outdated because there's a sequel, indie game from 2017 about catching and breeding little slime guys, has both more concurrent players and a higher 24-hour peak according to SteamDB. Suicide Squad is supposed to be a massively popular IP. The name alone should be able to get at least some people to play the game, right? I mean, at least that's what Rocksteady Studios must have thought, and yet it is currently losing to a slime ranching game in player count. This is obviously a massive loss for Rocksteady and for Warner Bros. Discovery, who own the game studio. The absolute failure of the game is such an unexpected and honestly embarrassing thing to happen that now even the CFO, Gunnar Weidenfels, had to comment on it. He was asked about the game and its current state during a financial call, and he said, "This year, Suicide Squad, one of our key video game releases in 2024, has fallen short of our expectations since its release earlier in the quarter, setting our games business up for a tough year-over-year comp in Q1. Now, isn't that the understatement of the year? When you consider that last year they made the highest selling game of the year, Hogwarts Legacy, I'd say that this hasn't set them up for a very good year at all. But it's important that someone as high up as the Warner Bros. Discovery CFO commented on this. It means that the failure was so spectacular that even the highest level employees, people who probably usually don't pay too close attention to the gaming sector, now are. Because let's be honest, these types of bigwig executive types aren't exactly the people who are going home to play Toontown on their weekends. And I think that this might mean that they will end up having to take a closer look at what happened. Now, what I hope they find is that the game failed because no one wants a live service game. I hope that they realize that the model is dead and that they stop or shift any projects they already have making more live service games. Because in the industry as a whole, there are a lot of them set to come out in the next year or two. But I'm not sure if that will be the outcome. Too often we just see companies write something off as a loss and learn nothing. Surely it'll work out next time. And don't get me wrong, I like Helldivers 2, but I think that its success might give some reassurance to industry people that the Suicide Squad game's failure was just a fluke, even if Helldivers 2 does live service in a better way than most companies. I mean, there are a lot of other things they can say caused the failure of Suicide Squad 2 that had nothing to do with it being live service. Right after launch, they had to take the whole game down because there was a game-breaking bug that instantly completed the main story for people who started to play the game. Now launching a game and then taking it away for a little bit is a really easy way to kill a game's hype, not to mention make the studio look incompetent. Who's gonna play a game that has a day one game-breaking bug so bad that the studio literally had to take it down? I really wish we could see some refund numbers from that moment. Then of course, the negative press came out, and the gameplay was just really not great according to the reviewers. So the hype was killed. Considering they were trying to sell the game for $69.99, it's not hard to see why it didn't take off. All of the recently successful games have launched with cheaper prices, around $30 to $40. So I think the price is hurting them more than anything, to be honest. But time will tell. Hopefully with a failure this high profile, we will see some big industry changes. But I guess the real question is, do you think it'll happen? Or have the AAA developers gotten too deep in their own greed and they can't change course now? for better or worse? Let me know in the comments, it really helps with the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, have a great day, and God bless you.